Hello, friends and family, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're going to move forward in the You Matters series by elevating our conversation just a bit to talk about power. We're going to be talking about the importance of us acknowledging our power, owning our power, and the fact that we're stronger than we ever realized. So if you're interested, let's get into it. Welcome back to Choosing to Live Now. My name is Taneshia, and I am so grateful that you decided to join our conversation today. In the last 3 conversations that we have had in this series, we have really been exploring the importance of purpose, the importance of us partnering with our future, and the reality that change is inevitable. But throughout our conversations, our themes have really been that our lives are bigger than the mistakes that we've made in the past, and that if we've dreamed something, we are able to accomplish it now if we don't give up. But the key to us being able to accomplish those goals is that we remember that there are no wasted moments in our journey. So yes, there's a possibility we might not be where we want to be. And yes, we might have made some mistakes. But remembering that every mistake that we made in our journey is all for training, all for the purposes of making us better, so that when we get to the future that we are desiring to get to, that we will be successful because we would have obtained wisdom and skills on the journey in order to not only reach our future, but to thrive there. Yeah. So as we've been talking about all of those things, some things have really been coming to mind for me as it pertains to this journey towards our purpose. We keep talking about purpose and goal setting and dreams and aspirations and how we're in our now and respect our now and change is inevitable. And I realize, my brothers and sisters, that this is a lot. It is a lot to really ask you to take in without recognizing how waiting to get to where we desire to be can cause us to feel like we are powerless. Yeah. And you got a little taste of me saying that in the Struggle is Real video. Yeah. Because I was having a day. But you know, what I've realized as I've been thinking through all of our conversations to now is that we really are pretty amazing human beings. Humans are pretty amazing in that, in spite of the things that we go through, we are extremely resilient, more than we think. Yes, I've talked to you, my brothers and sisters, about depression and anxiety, and these are negative things that we might experience, that we need to work on, and yada, yada, yada. Those things still remain true. And those can be extreme, but those also can be very mild. And in many cases, for most of us, we go through bouts of anxiety and depression, but they're mild, and we're able to retrain our thinking to get to a better state in life. And you know what that shows me? That we have more power than we think. So even though we've not reached the goal that we hope to get to, have we ever stopped to think about what have we actually done that's been amazing? Yeah. I can tell you one of the things we've done. We've stayed alive. Especially in these last couple of years, my brothers and my sister. We are alive today. That shows us that we have more power than we think. You know something else we're doing? We're still making efforts to be better. Yeah, there are moments when we want to give up. Absolutely, there are. But look at you. Look at us. My brothers and my sisters, do you see us? We're out here in the world, hustling and bustling, trying to make sure that our responsibilities are met, but also that we can be our best selves. We're even listening to content like this for the purposes of getting hope and to be inspired, to keep our minds in a positive place. And you know what that shows us, me? And that shows us that we got more power than we think. Yeah. Yeah. So even though we have all these variables of change and all these variables of waiting and processing and preparation to get to our goals being met, my brothers and my sisters, we are more powerful than we think. So then you might be saying, so what is power? And that's a great question. The definition of power from Choosing to Live Now is this. We define power as one's ability to make decisions for themselves and to take authority or ownership over their own lives. Yeah. That's how we see power. But guess what? There is another definition in psychology that's very similar to that, and that is the term autonomy, which basically means it is an individual's ability to take care of themselves. And one of the first places that we'll hear about autonomy in the field of psychology is in human development. As a matter of fact, Erik Erikson, who is a famous theorist in psychology, talks about autonomy in a really powerful way. He basically begins to tell us that autonomy begins to be developed from 18 months to 3 years old, and how it begins when we as human beings start to engage in the world. We begin walking and talking and socializing and developing fine motor skills. It is during that time of our lives when we begin to have a great sense of self, and we begin to want to have control over the things that we do with our life. So at that age, we might want to control the toys that we play with, the friends that we have. We might even want to be able to control the things that we're able to do on our own without assistance. But that is one level of autonomy. Power then, or autonomy, begins to shift even further in adolescence. And we learned about this during our series on identity. So when we get in adolescence, we're no longer just believing every word that our parents and caregivers tell us. We're now exploring the world ourselves by engaging in social interactions with our peers and learning the social norms of the world around us. So in adolescence, early through mid and late adolescence, you will find individuals changing their clothes and their hair, all of the things about them, to figure out which version of themselves they want to be. And their identity crystallizes in about their early to mid adulthood, and that is when we have determined identity is formed, but also that person's awareness of their autonomy or power over their life. But my brothers and sisters, generally, when we look at power is often looked at from the construct of what we're able to do with our life, how we can control the basic needs and necessities of our life that include food, clothing, shelter, and all of the things. So that if we were to just focus on power as it relates to our ability to be able to live in our own apartment by ourselves, or to have a job and things of that nature, that is a very limited view of power, in that many adults are deciding to stay home a lot longer for the purposes of saving money. So they may not work a lot, or they may defer their careers to be able to go in school so they stay home with their parents. So does that mean that an individual that lives home doesn't have power? No. But it does mean that in a general sense of power, that their power differentials are limited when it comes to their living spaces. They might not be able to make decisions in that environment, but that does not mean that they don't have power. Or even look at relationships. When we're in friendships and intimate partnerships, there are instances within those relationships where we give a piece of our power away to be interconnected in these relationships. So we don't always make decisions on our own about our whereabouts and about our lifestyle and even about the medical decisions that our life may need. We confer to the person we're in partnership with. So then does that mean because we are sharing our lives with someone that we are powerless? No, my brothers and sisters, but it definitely changes our power dynamics if we're going to look at power in a general sense. But for this purpose of this conversation, friends and families, brothers and sisters, we're thinking about power as it relates to our ability to control the way that we think. Because remember, our motto is, if we can change our mind, we can change our life. Yeah. So when you take into consideration all of the things that we've talked about so far in this series, what it really boils down to, a mindset change. The way that we think about purpose, the way that we partner with our future, the way that we realize that change is inevitable, all comes down to a mindset change. Wow, right? Mind blown. So you might be saying to yourself, Taneshia, I've done a lot of, self-work on my mind, and I've done a lot of changing of my thoughts in a lot of different ways. But I'm really having a difficult time with changing my mind completely because of all of the things going on around me. It's so many things at one time that it is difficult for me to really properly change my mind. And if that's how you're feeling, my brothers and sisters, I understand where you are. And just know that you're not alone. Having power comes with responsibility. What you say? I said, having power comes with responsibility. So when we're talking about power in terms of changing our mind, did you know, my brothers and sisters, that everything we've ever accomplished in our lives, even if it was just to stay alive right now by making that decision, came from our mind? This morning when you got up, what you put on came because of your mind. What you decided to eat today came because of your mind. And you might be saying, I ate what I could afford. It is true. But you also could have chosen in your mind not to eat at all. And that's where your power is. Yeah. Every job that you work on a daily basis, every task that you complete is rooted in your mind's ability to recall the task that you've been trained to do and to execute it with excellence every single day. That's the power of your mind. Your mind is also the same mind that senses danger and makes you feel physiological symptomologies that we call anxiety, in order to let us know that there may be potential danger coming, so that we can know to go somewhere and be safe. All of that is your mind. Your mind is the place that houses your emotions. When you're happy, when you're sad, when you choose to forgive, oh, my brothers and sisters, when you walk through your grief journey and feel what you feel, all of these things are happening in your mind. Your mind is the powerhouse of your life. Can I say that again for the people in the back, on the side, all around. Brothers and sisters, your mind is the powerhouse of your life. So regardless of how much money you have, where you live, what's going on in the world around you, and the things that you cannot change, my brothers and sisters, you have authority over your mind. So when we define here at Choosing to Live Now, power, we're talking about a person's ability and authority to have power and to make decisions and ownership over their thinking. That's what makes us different from autonomy. Because in the theory that I shared with you earlier on, that theorist is talking about a person's behavior, but we are talking about your mind. And you might be saying, Taneshia, my thoughts cannot make changes in the world around me. They've made all the changes. Everything that you've done. Every job interview that you went on and every story that you told to get the job all came from your mind. Every time you get in your car and drive and you're making decisions on what turns to make and what turns not to make and what streets to travel and what not to travel, all of that comes from your mind. Your mind is powerful. It is like a computer. It is a place where we have talked about in our previous discussions where pathology can live because we will rehearse negative experiences over and over in our life. But listen to what I'm saying. Your mind has this memory system. It's a memory bank that can replay things over and over again, better than a tape player ever could. Do you hear the power of that? That while it is negative to have this place where we're repetitively thinking about things over and over again to the point where it can make us sick, it is also the place where we have the authority and the power to retrain the way that we view the world around us by repetitively thinking about the opposite of our lives. So if we repetitively think about things that make us afraid, we can repetitively think and speak about things that are positive. Our minds are powerful places. And I think that we often feel defeated because we've trained ourselves to think that way. We've trained ourselves to think that way. We've trained ourselves to think that way based on what we're looking at around us. But if you really look at your life, look at everything that you've gone through. All of us have had some sort of adverse childhood experience. What did you come through, my brothers and sisters? What did you see and overcome? How do you know you were overcoming? Because you're an adult and you're here now. That's how you know you overcame it. Yeah. That's how you know that you are more powerful than you ever realized. Because in spite of those things, your mind gave you cues of how to get out or to survive those adverse experiences, and you are alive to tell the story. My brothers and sisters, your mind is everything, and that is the power you are owning. The fact that you do not have to think negatively if you do not want to. And this conversation is exclusive to individuals who are not on substances, who are not struggling from mental illness to the point where you cannot think clearly. This is for individuals who are in a sound state of mind and can hear clearly, who are in full consciousness, who are not on any substance, but can understand what I am saying to you. I know that you've gone through trauma. I know that you've gone through adverse experiences, but the idea that you're here, saying it again for the people in the back, the idea that you're here shows how much power you have. Look at how much you've learned. Look at the skills that you've developed. Oh my goodness. Can I give you a story? Because you know I got stories. When I was a kid, when I was about 10 years old, My mother and father officially divorced, and my grandmother, who lived with my family, passed away. And my mother worked a job with multiple shifts, similar to doctors and nurses who work shift work. One week they might work mornings, the next week they might work nights. That was my mother's world. And I had a little brother. And so I was responsible for getting in my home, carrying keys. I would get off from school, run home, wait till my brother got home from school, bring him home safely, make sure my brother's homework was done, make sure my homework was done, and my mother would always cook our meals, so I would heat them up, clean the kitchen, clean up the house, and make sure we would go to bed at a reasonable time until my mother came home on the weeks when she worked the night shift. I did this for 8 years of my life. And what skill I developed from doing all those things is, one, I learned how to cook. Because on the days when my mother didn't cook stuff I liked, I may or may not have went in the freezer and picked out something I thought I wanted, and I practiced cooking and I got good at it, and the rest is history. Something else that I developed during that experience was the ability to never lose my keys. I knew that my mother's job was about 30 minutes from where we lived, and that she did not have access to a phone in the area of her job that she worked. And so because of that, it could take her hours to get to me. And I never wanted to be lost because none of my family lived close to where we lived to be able to come and get me or help me. And this is pre-cell phone days. So I knew that I had to keep my keys. It was the most important thing that I could ever do. I learned how to be on time and to never miss a bus ever. I learned how to advocate for my brother's needs. I learned how to tutor. I learned how to keep a schedule. All of those things I learned from that adverse experience of being the child of a divorced parent and mourning the loss of my grandmother. I learned how to keep my brother safe when there were sometimes bullets flying in my neighborhood. And no, my neighborhood was not horrible like that. I made it sound bad, but listen, we just had some kids who were bad, and their parents probably was working at night, and you get what you get. Because typically during the day it was fine, but in the evenings when the parents would be working, that's the things that they would do. But I learned how to keep my brother safe. All of these things I learned through an adverse experience of my life. And you know what that has given me over the years of my life? Power to recognize that there's nothing that I cannot accomplish if I do not put my mind to it. Can I give you another story? My brothers and sisters, I finished my undergrad and my 2 graduate degrees that I have so far, and all of the coursework for my PhD while being a mother, by being a small business owner, by working full-time jobs, by being active in my local religious community, by being a wife, a friend, a sister, all the things. Come on. And how was I able to accomplish all of that at one time? I learned it when I was 10. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say to you is, if you can look at your life, my brothers and sisters, and all of the things that you've come through, I don't care how horrific they are. What did you learn from those experiences? All of it wasn't negative. And my brothers and my sisters, I'm not projecting at you. I want to let you know and help you to really conceptualize where your power lies. You are powerful. And you have the power now to change your experiences by changing your mind. Because in order for us to get through the negative experiences of our life, we had to actually change the way that we thought while we were going through it. Have you ever heard somebody say, I'm in business mode, I'm focused? Yeah, that's basically meaning I'm changing my mind out of my previous way of thinking to now shift it to this professional or focused state of being so that I can get a goal accomplished. My brothers and my sisters, are you hearing me? Do you see how powerful our mind is? So when we're owning our power, What we're actually doing is recognizing that the things that we've gone through in our life did not break us. We are stronger and more powerful than we ever realized. And because we got through this thing and that thing and that thing, and we accomplished this thing and we accomplished that thing, this future that we are waiting to meet, we have the power and the strength to do the things that we desire to do, to accomplish the goals that we want to accomplish, because we already have a track record of being successful at navigating difficult journeys. And why? What do you mean, Taneshia? You talk about my future and get into my purpose and my destiny. Why'd you say difficult? Because my brothers and my sisters, if there's anything in your life that you want to accomplish, it is difficult to do. It's difficult to stay motivated. It's difficult to even care. It's difficult not to give up. So my brothers and sisters, when we think about our future, though it is bright and beautiful and picturesque, it is difficult to stay motivated on the journey. But here we are. My brothers and sisters, I'm with you today to let you know that you have power. I'm looking at you in this internet world. I see you by the mind of my spirit. And I know that you are stronger than you realize. And I want to tell you that you're strong. You have power. But the only way that you can change where you are now and not give up is by owning the power that you have. Yep, the situation that you might be going through right now is rough, but what power do you have? What have you developed over your life that can help you through this? What have you gone through? What lessons did that experience teach you? So that now, my brothers and my sisters, you can take those skills and use it for the current experience that you're in. I call that power. I call that power. Shifting power. Yeah. So in my conclusion today, my brothers and sisters, here's what I want to give to you. Here are ways to maximize and grow the power that you already have. And you already should know what my first strategy is going to be. Because if you know me by now, you would already know. What is it going to be? Number one, acknowledge the fact that you have gone through adverse experiences in your life that you have overcome and learned lessons from. That's the beginning part of maximizing the power that you have. Because acknowledgement is key. We often go through our lives and we think about abuse even that we've gone through, physical, mental, sexual, whatever abuse that you've experienced. We often go through those experiences and we feel like, you know what? I feel so helpless and lost. And I know during those times we did. I've been there. But look at the fact that you got out of it and that you're stronger now and that you'll never let anyone take advantage of you again. That, my brother and my sisters, is power. So when you can acknowledge the fact that I went through this, but I've overcome it and I've learned this, that's your power. Number two, to maximize the power in your life, never let anybody else tell your story for you. What you saying, Taneshia? Nobody else should be able to tell your story, even if you made a mistake and you failed. You screwed up. You had infidelity in your marriage. You had a child when you were a teenager. That is your story. And even though you made a mistake, it's a new day. And you don't have to live your entire life as a prisoner to that mistake. Once you have dealt with it and managed all of the responsibilities associated with that mistake, now your power is that I went through that and here's what I learned and here's what I'll never do again. That's your power. That's your power. Another way to maximize the power in your life is to take the skills that you've learned from previous experiences and use them now as the guide as how to get out of the circumstances that you're in right now. We don't want to waste, my brothers and sisters, any of the lessons that we've learned. Sometimes we're looking for somebody to give us a new sense of information, a new leash on life, a new piece of knowledge that we already have. I've done that 100 times. You know what you need to do many times more than you realize it. And if you look through the things you've overcome in your life, you will discover that you already have a solution how to help you out of what you're going through now. Because typically we don't go through things that are odd from each other. Many of them are in a cyclical pattern where we can find different nuances of similarities. And we can use the skills from one place that we've overcome for the new one. Another thing that we can do to maximize our power is really work on shifting the way that we think by positive self-talk. Girl, what is that? Positive self-talk is speaking well of yourself. Yeah. So instead of looking at yourself through a deficit lens, that you're the problem and you made the mistake and the abuse and the pain and the struggles you went through are all because of you. Think about the good that you bring to the world. What's good about you? Start with something small, even if it is, I have a good taste in fashion. Does that have anything to do with anything else? No, but it's the beginning of you starting to redo your thinking, the mind, about yourself. If you can find something positive to say about yourself and continue to work on positive thinking about yourself, it will help you to undo some of these negative thoughts that you've developed because of the experiences that you've gone through. It's also important to recognize that part of the reason why you might not be feeling powerful is because your power was not voluntarily given at a previous state in your life. It may have been taken. But if you are alive and out of them circumstances that cause you to lose your power, I encourage you to revisit who you actually are. And the way that you can do that is through journaling, it's through therapy, it's through prayer, it's through reading, it's through really getting to spend time with yourself to find who you are that was distorted because of a negative experience. Yeah. But at the end of the day, my brother, my sister, whether your power was taken or you didn't recognize that you had it, I want to encourage you that you can have your power back if you can change your mind. You are powerful. And I don't want you to give up on yourself. If you've made it to this point in your life, even though you've gone through adverse experiences, know that you are more powerful than you think, and own that power and let that power guide you to accomplish the goals that you desire to accomplish. Listen, my brothers and sisters, I want to let you know that you are not alone. I am here with you, owning my power as I encourage you to own yours. This is a community. It's a safe space. If you like the content on this channel, please subscribe, please share, please like, please comment. Let's get this content up on the algorithm so that we're able to spread it to a wider community. We need more friends and family here. Thank you so much for joining us today. And until the next time, blessings to you today, my friend.
Just in case you weren't sure.